have not ascended above Star Wars. That's right, everybody. It's time. It's time to begin the Star Wars arc for real. These are screenshots you can get. We did not lose any viewers because the funny thing is, you nerds love Star Wars. I know you love Star Wars. Oh, I know it's a good thumbnail. That's why I'm doing them. I wish I had an actual lightsaber. I'm My lovely, lovely imps, it is time that we together embark on a journey that we will be on for a while, a journey through Star Wars. And this journey, of course, begins where all journeys should begin, at the beginning. And by that, you might think that I mean the original trilogy, but no, I actually mean the prequel trilogy. Yes, that's right. Today, I will be telling you about my extended thoughts about the Star Wars prequel trilogy, which I have just recently rewatched, and I took a bunch of notes on because I have a lot of thoughts. Now, Star Wars is very popular right now. Star Wars has basically been incredibly popular for the last forever. Since Star Wars came out, it has been one of the most popular media series in the world. And there is good reason for that. However, as many of you know, I have a lot of anger in my heart. My heart has been pulled and tempted by the dark side towards anger and hate. Many of you have heard me rant about how much I can't stand Baby Yoda, aka Grogu Bagungo Chibodo, the character from the hit Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. Many of you have heard me rant about how we are all going to be crushed by Chewbacca-shaped Funko Pops, and many of you have also heard me laugh and delight with the fact that Funko has literally dumped a bunch of their product directly into landfills because they overproduced and nobody was buying their stupid, crappy vinyl figurines. But there's a lot that I have to talk about with Star Wars. And I have decided after watching Andor, which I absolutely loved and you should go watch right this moment, you're going to hear me say that a lot, that I was going to embark on a Star Wars journey. And so we have embarked on a long journey across the cold and distant galaxy, where we will come into direct conflict with the Empire. We will learn the secrets of the Jedi Order. We will discover just how many midichlorians all of us have inside of us and whether or not the Kyber crystals actually do anything at all. We are going to discover the biggest super weapons the galaxy has ever seen and how they made them even bigger and more dangerous. We will discover we will be tromping through things that are no longer considered canon, things that have been retroactively re-canonized, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But specifically, we're going to be talking about a lot of politics and filmmaking in this little adventure that we go on. So I hope you will join me. And first of all, I hope you will press like on the video and also that you will press subscribe because we're about to get into the nitty-gritty of the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, I strongly, strongly encourage everybody in chat to share their opinions because I'm going to be talking with you all and I want to hear what people have to say. And people have many diverse opinions about Star Wars. But I'm going to drop a very hot take right away, okay? Right away. History has done The Phantom Menace dirty, okay? And I mean that, and I will stand by that, okay? History has done The Phantom Menace dirty, okay? I just watched The Phantom Menace, a movie that came out in 1999, just a few days ago, okay? And I took pretty extensive notes on The Phantom Menace. And as you are going to discover, I have a lot of things to say about it. However, people, like, first of all, people are so wrong about so many things about The Phantom Menace. First of which, Jar Jar is not that bad. Everybody talks about how Jar Jar is the worst and Jar Jar sucks and all this stuff, but actually Jar Jar is not that bad of a character. And I don't actually understand, like, I understand where some of the hate from Jar Jar comes from, but no, he really is not that bad at all. No, he's not that bad. I'm sorry, he's not that bad. And I'm gonna tell you why Jar Jar is not that bad. Jar Jar as a character, actually in the first movie, and I'm not gonna talk about Jar Jar in the other movies, but in the first movie, he actually has like an arc. And also, Jar Jar actually illustrates that the Jedi are kind of bad at engaging a lot of times with alien races. One of the first things that Qui-Gon Jinn says to Jar Jar is just racist. He's like, the ability to speak does not actually represent intelligence because Jar Jar talks to him. Now, for the record, I have some things to say about Qui-Gon Jinn, but I don't think that that was an accident, especially because Jar Jar ends up becoming very important to the plot of the first movie. Jar Jar, even though he's played for laughs a lot in the film, and that's where I think a lot of people don't like Jar Jar. We'll talk about that. But Jar Jar is actually super important to the plot of the first movie, and he's actually the reason why they're even able to create an alliance between the people of Naboo, the planet that they arrive on in the first film, in The Phantom Menace, and the Gungan people. Now, a lot of people get very, very mad about Jar Jar because as the film goes on, there is one of the worst parts of Phantom Menace by far is the fact that Phantom Menace is full of really bad editing. I mean, bad editing decisions. And that's one of the things that sucks about Phantom Menace. In Phantom Menace, there is a lot of cutaway jokes. So what I mean by this is that it will be something like, the one that everybody talks about is when Jar Jar steps in poop. So they're walking through Tatooine all together, and then it kind of like the camera moves away like this, and you see Jar Jar step in poop, and he goes, yucky, poopy. And now those jokes suck. And there's also the part where he zaps his tongue, and there's a part where he gets his hand stuck in an engine, and there's parts where he bumps into droids, and these are all these sort of like dumb cutaway, throwaway jokes. But Jar Jar himself is actually not that bad. And in fact, in the first part of the movie, there's basically nothing wrong with his character. And like he's just sort of like turns into a clown as the film goes on as a result of editing decisions, not because of anything actually wrong with Jar Jar's character or even the way that he talks. In fact, weirdly enough, the I don't know what the word that you want. I guess it's a pidgin is the right term for that, where it's like a fusion of the Gungan language and the Naboo and English, the Naboo common language, is actually very consistent throughout the movie, which I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with that at all. People say things like, oh, well, like, they were trying to be racist with Jar Jar, but I don't think that him speaking in a pidgin alone is like racist in and of itself. I think that where it goes, it's called Galactic Basic. Thank you. The part where it goes wrong is with the editing decisions as the film goes onward. Because again, almost all of the like throwaway jokes in the middle of the movie are at Jar Jar's expense. But Jar Jar, again, even though he's like a clumsy person, he actually is he's a good character. He's a good character. He makes smart observations. He's correct about the fact that Boss Nass is setting up the Jedi to die. And they just ignore him. They're just like, yeah, whatever. And he was right. He's like, no, they're going to send you into the middle of the earth so you get eaten by a giant fish. And the first thing that happens is, that they immediately get bit by a fish and almost die. And it's only because of Jar Jar's knowledge of the planet that they survive. It's so funny, like, because... But again, like the editing in the later half of the film is where I think that people are kind of correct to say that it becomes a little bit stupid and insensitive and arguably even some form of racist, space racist maybe. But I think that a lot of that is problems with the script and problems with the editing. Now, I want to talk about something very specific here, which is a problem that I have with the entire prequel trilogy. The scripts in the prequel trilogy are remarkably, remarkably rough. And it is probably the weakest part of all of the biggest problem with the prequel trilogy is that the scripting is demented. Okay? And I'm going to talk about this over and over and over again, but the scripts really, really hurt all three of the prequel films, but it definitely hurts the first one, The Phantom Menace. Now, here's another hot take. Okay, everybody? If you ignore all the stuff that sucks, Jar Jar is cool. That is not my take at all. The only thing that sucks is the way that he's played for laughs by the editor, basically. The actual character arc that Jar Jar has is great. The first part of most of the film, he's a totally fine character. If maybe some people consider him a little bit annoying. The cutaway jokes that are completely, they don't do anything. And when I say they're like just throwaway jokes, they are totally wasteful. They do nothing. They don't advance the plot. They don't reveal anything about anybody's characters. They're not even funny. They're just dumb. Those take away from the film in a lot of ways because there actually are some funny Jar Jar moments earlier on in the movie, and it just sucks that at the end, most of them are him bumping into things or stepping in something or saying, ah, which sucks. Now, here's another hot take that I think people are going to get mad at first, but I think you'll come around to my position, which is that the plot of The Phantom Menace is actually perfectly fine. I have watched a lot of criticism of The Phantom Menace over the years, and having revisited it with a very critical eye and taking notes, the plot actually makes complete and utter sense, and also is politically based. The politics of all three Star Wars films are actually significantly more based than most people give them credit for. The politics of Revenge of the Sith especially, we're going to get there, but the politics of Revenge of the Sith is spot on. Okay, so let's talk about the plot of The Phantom Menace. The plot of The Phantom Menace is that the Galactic Trade Federation, the little Roger robot guys, have been essentially paid a large amount of money and political favors by a mysterious figure to basically engage themselves in a quasi-legal blockade of a backwater planet called Naboo. And this, of course, is revealed later to be that they have been duped. And this is one thing that I think perfectly lines up consistently throughout all of the films, which is that Emperor Palpatine, the Darth Sidious, you know him, the Emperor himself, he is always willing to double-cross every single person, even those most loyal to him, which is a consistent thing that happens all the way through to the original trilogy. And people got mad because they were like, why would they well, it's a plot hole. Why would they blockade Naboo? And it literally tells you in the first 5 minutes of the film why they blockaded Naboo. Because they were literally paid to do so. And they are first and foremost, a business, and they were assured that they would be able to get away with it legally. It's like, whatever. I don't know. People complain about the plot, but it genuinely just, it actually just makes sense. Now, there is some political back and forth and some jargon that can be off-putting to people, but that's not the same thing as the plot being bad. Yeah, it's like a trade dispute. Have I talked about Darth Jar Jar? Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? That I know is a very popular theory. And yeah, it's actually just fine. And it actually totally makes sense that they would send Jedi negotiators and that things didn't go well and that Sidious knew that it wasn't going to go well. Oh yes, we will talk about midichlorians, okay? Here's where I have a couple of other things to say about The Phantom Menace. So The Phantom Menace is actually a pretty good-looking film for most of the movie. And this, of course, has there are some parts where this is not true. So, for example, there are a couple of sets that do not look good. When they go and visit Tatooine, a couple of the sets look fantastic, and a couple of them literally look like a child's play set. And it's really unfortunate that there's like so many scenes where it's like very obvious that they did not size anything correctly. But by and large, the sets in the movie look pretty good. Naboo looks fantastic. All of the sets on Naboo look really, really good. And most of the CGI that they use, even though it's dated because this movie came out in 1999, is actually quite passable, especially if you compare it to other films at the time. I know some of you don't know because you probably haven't seen a whole lot of films from 1999, but CGI in 1999 looked bad, okay? It looked very bad. K-Prime says, I remember in the behind the scenes, they said they completely underestimated how tall Liam Neeson is. Liam Neeson is really tall, and it shows in a lot of the sets. There's a shot on Tatooine where he's like talking to Shmi Skywalker on like a stairway, and it looks like he's standing on a playground because the set is just completely the wrong size for Liam Neeson. It literally looks like he's standing on a playground, and it doesn't look that good. However, most of the sets look really good. Most of the visual effects look really good in The Phantom Menace. And the end of Phantom Menace is actually rock solid. Like, actually really good, with one exception, okay? And this is where my biggest critique of The Phantom Menace comes in. In The Phantom Menace, there is this problem where they try to do a lot of jokes, and none of the jokes are funny at all, and most of them have nothing to, they don't reveal any character. I talked about these with Jar Jar, but there's actually more than just Jar Jar. Jar Jar just has the most throwaway jokes that are like, they're literal, sometimes they're literal cutaways where like something will be happening and they'll go over to Jar Jar and then end the scene with like a stupid joke of him like bumping into something. But there's actually more than this. And one of the best parts of the movie is the pod race. Everybody remembers the pod race. Let me show you the let me show you some of these like sick ass shots of the pod race. Like, I mean, this is so cool. Look at this. Like, this is such an awesome scene right here. This looks so cool. It's really unique. You got all the people gathering to watch the pod race. You've got all the unique ships. In the pod race scene, they made like 8 unique ships just for the pod race. And then the entire time of the pod race, they keep cutting to these guys. Let me see. Yes. Oh my God. It's so bad. They keep cutting to these guys through the entire pod race, which is amazing, okay? The pod race is really cool. It's very fun. The shots are really good. The unique ships and the unique pilots are great, but they keep cutting to this terrible CGI announcer. And the worst part about this, the worst part about these announcers is that they are lazy. And when I mean that they're lazy, one of the things, when Star Wars is its best is when you feel like you are visiting a bunch of fantastical cultures and different worlds with a unique spacey feel. And you might see some things that are similar that you recognize as like universals. Like, for example, every sentient species will need entertainment, right? Everybody likes being entertained. Everybody will probably like music. It might be different. The original trilogy does this really well. When you're in Mos Eisley, you know, everybody that thing. All the Jabba the Hutt and his slave strip houses and all that stuff. Original trilogy does this really well. But in Phantom Menace, it's just NASCAR. It's not even space NASCAR. It's just NASCAR, but it's an alien talking to you instead of that. There's literally a part where it cuts to the audience and there's a guy going, get your space alien rat snack here. Get your space alien rat snack. Get your space popcorn. It's like the thinnest, laziest veneer. They didn't even try to make it unique. Just think about like this here. You look at this and you go, oh, this is a cool space arena. It makes sense that that for a sporting event on an alien planet, they would need a space arena. And it's different than ours. You know, these have towers that people go up to. There's no like skyboxes like at a baseball stadium. This part's great. But then they bring in this guy and it's just literally just a guy doing literally a routine from a NASCAR announcement. It's dumb. It's very, very dumb. And it takes away from the experience because they keep cutting to these boring, reskinned NASCAR announcers in the middle of one of the coolest scenes in the movie. Which is just, it's so unfortunate. And yeah. Here's another thing. So they have the 2-headed alien guys, these little announcer guys I'm talking about, and one of them speaks in Galactic Standard or Galactic Common, and the other one speaks in Huttese, which is like the language that all the people on Tatooine speak. Why didn't they just have him speak in Huttese? They should have just had if they wanted to have an announcer, just have him announce in Huttese. We know what he's saying. When you see a crash and he goes, you know what's happening. When he's like, you know that he's getting excited about the crash. It's just a very silly decision. And also it means that you have to hear all of the dumb NASCAR lines twice. You have to hear the one in Galactic Common, and then you have to hear it in Huttese immediately afterwards. Just so silly. It's unfortunate, okay? I didn't know you spoke Huttese. I do speak Huttese. It's true. Yeah. Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Misfit. Huttese is what the Hutts speak. Not everyone understands it. That's true. However, when they first arrive on Tatooine, and again, I just watched this movie. When they first arrive on Tatooine, they explicitly say that basically everyone on Tatooine, or at least in that area, speaks Huttese. And they have almost every character besides Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, or Qui-Gon and Padme speak in Huttese, because everybody there has to speak Huttese because the Hutts run Tatooine. Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense that they would have a guy speaking, a two-headed announcer speaking in galactic common. They literally don't do that in any of the other scenes. It's very silly. Also, this is another thing that might make some people angry. Because I know that there is it's like a vogue thing to hate Qui-Gon Jinn, but I'm gonna just say right out, Qui-Gon Jinn is the coolest character in the entire prequel trilogy. No questions asked. Qui-Gon Jinn is the best character of the prequel trilogy. I'm gonna say that right here, right now. Qui-Gon Jinn is so based, and he's so based because he actually fits within the storyline of the entire trilogy, the theme of the entire trilogy, about how the Jedi are ultimately good in their hearts, but they were blinded by dogmatism. And Qui-Gon is a Jedi that is not dogmatic. He is a Jedi that understands that you cannot be, if you become dogmatic, you will become inflexible. And he's one of the only people in the entire series who actually practices in full what he believes. He's unironically wiser than Yoda. He's way more based than Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he deserved so much more praise. I remember, like, over the years, hearing people say, oh, Qui-Gon is boring, Qui-Gon is uninteresting. Completely and utterly false. Qui-Gon is actually incredibly based, and if you actually pay attention to what purpose he serves in the plot of Phantom Menace, you will realize that he's like the most based character in the whole prequel trilogy. He does everything he can to free slaves, even though it's not his mission. He does everything he can to protect and to believe in Anakin and Obi-Wan. He breaks rules and laws because it's the right thing to do on a regular basis. He is a complete refutation of the dogma of the Jedi Order, and it makes him one of the most important characters thematically. It's unfortunate that, that he dies in the first film because he's just really good. Jade Monkey says, one slave, not his mom. Actually, you're slightly incorrect, and a lot of people forget this. He tries to free Anakin's mom. The first thing that he does is he tries to get both Anakin and his mom, but Watto refuses. He refuses to budge on the gamble. He's like, I will not gamble two slaves. You either get the boy, and in fact, Qui-Gon cheats in order to make sure that he can free the child, because Watto wants to give away Shmi Skywalker instead of Anakin, but Qui-Gon is like, Anakin is a child; he needs to be free. He actually tried to free them both, but he couldn't. And keep in mind, it is already established in the plot that Watto is immune to Jedi mind tricks, so he can't just convince Watto to give away Shmi and Anakin. He has to choose one or the other, so he chooses the child. Qui-Gon is so incredibly based. I absolutely love Qui-Gon, and I think he's the best character in the prequel trilogy by far. Kill Watto? Okay, come on. Uncle Gumbald says, do you think that Watto was a Jewish stereotype? Okay, guys, I have to be 100% real. Yes, obviously. Like, Watto, oh boy. Watto is, Hold on a second. Guys, okay, look, I'm gonna show you something and I need you to just be real with me, okay? This is the second appearance of Watto, okay? Yes, he literally wears a space yarmulke. He gets a hat and a big beard, and yeah. And he literally says, he has a line where he says, I don't remember what his race of alien is called, but he's like, yeah, we're immune to mind tricks. All we care about is money. I'm not kidding you. Toydarians. He's like, don't you know that Toydarians are immune to mind tricks? All we care about is money. It's bad, okay? And I just gotta say that it's bad, okay? It's probably, it's way worse than basically anything else in the entire trilogy. It's actually bad. And yes, of course, everybody is pointing out that the Trade Federation guys are like very obvious, like Orientalism. Yes, it's also very bad, but not nearly as bad as what they did with Watto. It's unfortunate. It's just true, okay? He did it bad, okay? Maybe George Lucas was too much of a fucking idiot to realize it. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Isn't George Lucas Jewish? Oh, he's not Jewish. I thought he was Jewish. Huh. Okay, that makes it even worse. I thought he was Jewish, but he's not. It's just apparently there were a lot of Jewish people on the movie. Okay, that's just terrible. Also, apparently, okay. Yeah. It's just bad, okay? Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from that, though, because, yeah. You didn't explain why history does the Phantom Menace dirty. Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to make that clear. People really hate on the Phantom Menace. People like take quotes from the Phantom Menace and then they make fun of it really hard. And also, I just want to point one thing out. When the Phantom Menace came out, the actor for Anakin Skywalker, Jake Matthew Lloyd, was actually like bullied almost to death by insane old school Star Wars fans. I'm not kidding you. Like, when I say that, like, they shit on him so hard, and it's actually just horrible. Like, he was constantly targeted and bullied because people would like meme about like, oh, spinning, that's a neat trick. But the truth is, he didn't even do a bad job at all. Like he actually just, like, Jake Matthew Lloyd just was fine. He was perfectly fine in the role. And yeah, there was a little bit of silly lines, but it wasn't bad. His acting wasn't bad at all. Yeah, the script was very goofy, and I'm going to talk about the script a lot as we go through the other films. But I should take this opportunity to say every single actor in the entire Star Wars prequel trilogy put their entire dick and balls into the performances in these movies, and they were given nothing. And it's going to become a bigger part as we talk about the next film, but the scripting, these guys were working so hard, like, I can't even begin to tell you just how hard all of these actors were working, including Jake Matthew Lloyd. Yeah, the same thing happened to Jar Jar's actor. Yeah, it's ridiculous. People targeted these films and said they were like the worst thing ever. If you go and you look through old critiques at the time, people were severely cruel to the Phantom Menace. But the truth is, the Phantom Menace is pretty good. It's actually really enjoyable. And the last third of the movie is just actually just no questions asked good. The palace raid on Naboo, the battle with the space battle, the battle with Darth Maul, and of course, one of the most iconic moments in the entire history of Star Wars, which is this shot right here, which I'm about to show you. This shot right here, the reveal of Darth Maul, absolutely amazing. Just so cool. Oh, it's so cool. Just incredibly, incredibly great. Dun 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 dun. Incredible. Just amazing. What an epic moment. And it's still, like, watching it back again all these years later, I was like, that is amazing. It was really, really great. And the fight afterwards was also really good. The cool thing about Phantom Menace is that the lightsaber battling was way more subdued in Phantom Menace. They still jumped around and did some fancy, you know, flips and stuff, but nothing like later on. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute, too, when I get to Attack of the Clones. But it was one of the coolest lightsaber fights of the entire prequel trilogy. In fact, maybe even the coolest one was the battle with Darth Maul. It was highly choreographed, it looked good, and it was believable. And I liked it. The entire last third of Phantom Menace is just super, super fun. And while it is true that the first, like, 2/3 of the movie are a little bit slow, it's also the first movie in a new trilogy, so it's understandable that there would be a little bit of a wind-up. Yeah, there's a lot of criticism to be had about the slow wind-up, but it's also just fine. The plot is fine. The acting is great. The script, obviously, it needs some work, but it's still good. Phantom Menace got done so dirty by history. People said that it looked bad. People said that it had, like, bad acting. It did not have bad acting. The acting was fine. The script was the problem, obviously. The lines are not good, but all of the actors were putting their all into the role. It does have stupid cutaway jokes, but come on. Lots of movies have stupid cutaway jokes, and nobody bats an eye at them. They're not that bad. They are distracting, and they do take away from it. There's one thing, though, that I really have to give George Lucas the boot for, okay? And that is midichlorians. I have no idea what George Lucas was thinking when he wrote in midichlorians into the plot. It is so dumb, and also incredibly counter to the actual message of the entirety of Star Wars. It's so stupid. The midichlorians make no sense. It makes being force sensitive a matter of genetics, which is the opposite. So something you have to understand about Star Wars as a series, Star Wars is like an incredibly anti-fascist, anti-imperialist, and anti-authoritarian series all the way through. It is part and parcel of the genetics of Star Wars that it is a strongly anti-fascist series. And then in The Phantom Menace, they have him say that force power is in your blood. And that there's a kid who's born with just better blood genetics than any other. And also keep in mind that they drop it. They drop it after the first film and they never go back to it. They mention midichlorians one time. One more time they mention midichlorians in Revenge of the Sith. And then they never talk about it again. It never has any relevance ever again. Which was a wise choice, because the midichlorians are actually there. It's one of the most offensive misdecisions in the entire Star Wars trilogy. I mean, the entire Star Wars universe. The midichlorians is such a misplay that it actually damages the core theses of Star Wars. Unbelievable. Lore breaking, just terrible. It is just terrible. nothing, and it doesn't even hold up because, like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense, okay? Terrible. You could, yeah, they could have left the prophecy intact in every way. They could have just had Qui-Gon go, oh my God, this kid has force powers and he doesn't even know it. They had no need to do a random blood test. Made no sense. Oh, it was so silly. Anti-fascism, but with magical bloodlines. But that's the thing. There aren't any magical bloodlines. It doesn't even, the only magical bloodline that even exists in all of Star Wars is the Skywalker one. And it's not even about the bloodline. It's about them mixing up which Skywalker was supposed to be the chosen one. It's not, like, the prophecy mix-up is not about a bloodline. It's just about mixing up two members of the same family, a father and a son. One is going to threaten the Force, and the other one is supposed to bring balance to it. And they think the one that threatens the Force is the one that will save the Force, and so on. It's not even about a lineage. It's just so dumb. It's explicitly not supposed to be magical bloodlines. Anakin was literally a designer baby pre-retcon lore. Yeah, yes, that's the whole thing. So why are the midichlorians necessary? If Anakin is created by a miracle event, by a convergence of the Force, they do not even need, midichlorians are not even necessary. They literally say in the in the first movie, they say, I've encountered a convergence in the Force. There you have it. There's your lore answer. God, it's so bad. Oh, it's so stupid. It's so silly. I don't know. Again, bad, okay? Just bad. Oh, yes. And as somebody mentioned, the costumes are top-notch, okay? Phantom Menace has excellent costuming. Even the CGI characters have excellent costume design. All of the costume design is amazing, from the royal guards on Naboo to the amazing outfits they made for the Queen. Let me see if I can get the shot of her and her handmaidens together. They're so good. Oh, they look so incredible. They're like almost like Dune level of costume design. They're so incredible. I absolutely love the costume design for the entire film. Here, look, I'm gonna show you 3 pictures. So here's the first one of the fake Queen Amidala and her handmaidens, whose outfits look awesome. Here's her on when she's off planet. Also looks awesome. Look at these. Look at the awesome outfits. You've got 3 different Jedi variants. You've got the Queen's like traveling outfit. You've got 3 ranks of guards, and you've got helpers back here. You've got pilots in the back. Just look at that shot. Look at all of the different costumes they've got going on, and they're themed so well. You can immediately tell who's associated with who just by looking at the cool costumes. Just so dripped out. Absolutely awesome. I didn't know that, actually, Uncle Gumball. That's cool as hell. There's a lot of other scenes, too, where you get to see, I mean, just, again, the costumes over and over again are great. Oh yeah, plus you have Palpatine. You have the cool Palpatine and the Coruscant. Let me bring them up here real quick. They're like, here's a shot. Oh, that's the toys. Still, the toys look cool. Again, just amazing costume design over and over and over again. Let me see if I can get Palpatine from the Phantom Menace. He looks so great. He has this like, all of Palpatine's outfits are so flamboyant. Look at this guy's buttons. Look at this dude's goddamn buttons. He's got like ornate buttons and like silver trim. Oh, just so good. Oh, they did such a good job. And his coiffed hair. Oh, they did so good. The costumes in Phantom Menace are so good. So this is why I'm saying why Phantom Menace got done dirty by history. Okay? Because my God, Phantom Menace has so much good stuff going on for it. And of course, can we just take a second? Can we just take a second and just take a look at the most intimidating villain? One of the most intimidating villains they've just ever done. I know I already appreciated the scene, but like, look at this awesome design for Darth Maul is so cool. He has so much swag. Just the endless swag of Darth Maul with the double lightsaber. Oh, amazing. Just so good. And there's just so much to enjoy in it, okay? And keep in mind, oh, another thing. Okay, this is gonna be another hot take that I know that people are gonna get really, really mad at, which is, I actually think the Gungan battle is not as bad as people say. Hold on, let me see if I can show you why. The reason why I actually like the Gungan battle more than people give it credit. Yeah, okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, so I say this real quick by saying the CGI is dated, okay? But for a second, put aside the dated nature of the CGI and check out the awesome designs of the Gungan army. They have these giant dinosaurs with shield projectors. They have these little armless raptor guys with these big feathers. They've got guys with long spears, mounted guys with long spears. They've got shock infantry in the front with powered personal shields. It's so cool. It looks so bad. No, it does not, okay? I promise you, go watch another film with a lot of CG from 1999 and you will realize this film does not look bad for 1999. Yes, it is dated, but for 1999, they did a lot with this. And they made the Gungan army unique. In fact, you can even, like here, you can actually see like 3 or 4 different weapon types. You can see up here, they've got a slingshot thing. They have a spear type here. They've got the like shock shields. Wait, 4. You've got a throwing thing here. You've got a really cool energy shield. You've got a spear here. They have the energy balls, and they even have little maces. That's a lot of detail to be putting on CGI at the time. They actually put their effort into making this look like a cool army. Sorry, I just think it's great. I think it's cool. Also, the like commander, the friendly commander of the Gungans is pretty awesome. Yep. Oh yeah, go look at the. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Compare it to the Matrix. I watched the Matrix last year. Hold on. The Matrix. You people have some really fucking funny memories of what the Matrix CGI looks like. Okay, this is the Matrix CGI. This was the Matrix CGI when he's bouncing around. I wish I could show you that. The Matrix movie, the Matrix CGI, he literally looks like a rubber figurine in half of them. It is very silly. People are like, oh, the Matrix CGI was so good. No, it fucking wasn't. It was very goofy, okay? This literally looks like it's from a PlayStation game. And this is not even in motion, even sitting still. Sorry, everybody. I'm just saying that it doesn't look... Okay, if I can't show you this scene, but I just watched the Matrix movies, like, within the last 6 months. And I don't think it's as good as you all remember. I think that it's on par with most of the Phantom Menace's stuff. However, I have said enough about the Phantom Menace, and now it is time to move on to the next hot take, which is we need to begin the review of Attack of the Clones.